going to want to quit because you are human. But you've got to know that you must keep going.
Every decision made, lesson learned, and lesson taught. And until we meet again, may we continue.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Come on in, come on in. Happy Tuesday to you. I pray that all is going well. Welcome to the Amazing Rare Rubies ABCs of Finance moment. My name is Mika McLinden, and I have the wonderful privilege of being your host for the ABCs of Finance moment. So again, welcome as you come in. Make yourself very, very comfortable. We're going to take some time to learn about just some tidbits, little tips, information that will help us with increasing our financial literacy. And that is what this moment is all about. How do we provide different tips and nuggets that's going to enhance our financial literacy one step at a time? So you all know one of the things that we have truly talked about as we have relaunched our Amazing Rare Rubies ABCs of Finance class, we've talked a lot about what we call lamps. And so I want to put that up for you and kind of go through these benefits again, because we are focused on making sure we understand our path, where we're going, what we're doing, and how we need to do it when we talk about financial literacy. So I just want to do a recap of LAMPS, which is what we walk through as far as benefits regarding our ABCs of Finance class. So we're probably going to start with this and end with this today. But what are LAMPS? What is it? Well, we are definitely Christian based here. Lamps comes from Psalms 119, verse 105, where we know that God's word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. So he gave me an acronym for LAMPS. The L is for literacy. As we grow in our financial knowledge, we're increasing our overall literacy regarding our finances and our overall skill set regarding our finances. The A is for accountability. We need to be good stewards over what God is trusting us with. So that's a big one, right? We've got to be good stewards. So that means we have to take accountability for where we are and what we've done to get to whatever position we're in financially. The M is management. This is where we learn how and understand how to manage our money so that when we're allocating it to destinations, we're allocating it appropriately, right? And we're making the right decisions that's going to help us grow in that decision making. The P is for planning. Controlling our income, our expenses, our savings, and our investments. Are we planning appropriately? Not just doing it willy-nilly. That's important, right? We want to make sure that we are following a solid process as we're becoming financially. And then the S is for stability. I don't know of anyone, I mean, not one single person that does not wish to be stable in their finances. That's going to be huge, right? Stability. We want to make sure we are stable as we take this journey to financially becoming. So today I want to talk to you about having a healthy relationship with your finances, your financial health, and your wellness scorecard. This becomes very important, right? When we talk about a scorecard, it's different components that make up our financial status. I know a lot of times when people think of scorecards, right, we look at it as A, B, C, D, and F, right? It's literally like a report card. That's pretty much true. It is like a report card. So today we want to talk about some things that you need to think about when it comes down to your financial health. Today, I really want to talk to you about the importance of having a healthy relationship with your money. And having that healthy relationship ensures that your financial scorecard is healthy, that you're doing well, you're doing great. It's not built on a rocky foundation. It's built on solid ground. And that becomes extremely important as we build our financial scorecard. And the good thing about this is that you can begin doing that right where you are. That's what I love about how God helps us and how he grows us. He accepts us where we are. And that's what we believe the ABCs of Finance class supports as well. It's about beginning to be financially right where you are. Don't worry about where Sally is or Susie is or Bob is or John is. It doesn't matter. This is all about how do we ensure that for our own personal path, that we have a healthy wellness scorecard. How do we ensure that? So I'm going to give you a couple of tips on that today. And again, that's what this show is all about, tips and nuggets to becoming financially. So let's get started in that. The first one I want to talk to you about is accountability. Now, we talk about accountability more than just every now and then, because accountability is part of the process that we believe with Amazing Real Rubies, that we believe is all part of your becoming. Our first step is always prayer, right? And I know a lot of times we take that for granted, but that's why we like to keep it in step number one. I may not say it all the time, but I try to go back and pick that up so we don't lose it, right? But that first step is always, always, always going to be a pray about what we're doing. But our second step of becoming is self-awareness. And in self-awareness, it's all about taking accountability. In order for you to make sure that you are building a solid, healthy scorecard, you've got to take accountability for where you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And accountability means that we're not going to make excuses anymore. We're not going to say, well, I had to do this. It's like I've heard single moms, and I believe in doing what we can afford to do. But in what I heard, I felt in my spirit that some of these ladies could not afford to do what they were talking about. I've heard single moms saying how important it is that their sons have the latest name brand tennis shoes to go to school. And they're spending $120, $150 or more for one pair of sneakers. And when, you're asking, wow, why are you doing that? They justify it. And they're not really taking accountability for the impact that really has on their financial scorecard if they're buying shoes that are outside of their actual abundance when it comes down to their finances. So we've got to make sure we're at a place where we're taking accountability for our actions. If you want a healthy scorecard, take accountability, the self-awareness, own up to your past behaviors. Don't stay there, because we all make mistakes. We do that every day. Every day we fall short, every single day, right? We know that. So that's okay. But just take responsibility for it and say, you know what? I messed up at that point. But that does not mean that I have to continue to make that same mistake as I move forward. Again, we begin to be right where we are. Okay, so that first one for you is accountability. Okay, the second one for you to help you with building a healthy scorecard is going to be continue education. Continue your education. Continuous is what I have on the screen. Education. It's got to be ongoing. Educate yourself. It's not about hearing it one time and then, yeah, my grandmother said that, my dad said that, my mother said that. It's not even about that, because literally for things to become habitual with us, we have to experience them for at least 21 days, right? For things to really stick with us, we need to see it or hear about it anywhere from 6 to 8 times before it begins to really, really click in our head about those things. So ongoing education is going to be huge. Whether you are reading a book, whether you're attending a seminar, coming on here for the live of the ABCs of Finance moment, what are you doing to continue your education so that your scorecard begins to be more healthy, healthier than ever, right? It's that solid foundation. It's like in learning how to cook. I'm going to use that as an example. Cooking and gardening has been something that I've begun to really, really get involved in. Cooking longer than gardening, because I just started doing my garden last year. But I am educating myself more and more on how to grow organic vegetables, more and more on how to really cook, home cook healthy meals using herbs and spices and things of that. So I'm learning that. So I have to continuously educate myself. I am in the process of becoming more and more in that area. So my foundation, when it comes down to growing my vegetables and cooking healthy meals for myself and for my husband, that foundation is becoming really solid. But I've had to spend time watching YouTube videos, reading articles, learning about the zone that I live in. I'm in zone 7. I had to learn about what to plant, when to plant, how to plant, why you plant this, how you in this area, why you don't plant this vegetable next to this vegetable. And I'm still learning. It is the same with your financial scorecard. You have got to continue your education on learning about your finances. This is going to be a lifelong journey. It is a process. There's nothing quick about it. A young lady posted on Facebook the other day that $100,000 was no money. And for me, I felt some type of way about that. I understood what she was saying, meaning that you really needed to make more than that. You need more than $100,000. But the part that really got to me was the fact that it doesn't matter if a person has 10,000, 100,000, or $1 million. If we do not have the proper mindset and education, if we don't have a healthy relationship with our money, having $100,000 could literally be just like having $10. It's gone, it's blown if you don't know how to grow your money. And so my response to that was pretty much what I just articulated. And my thing was, $100,000 is some money. There are people who may never make $100,000 in their life, but I know individuals who make $40,000 and $50,000 a year that's living better than people who make 6 figures. Why? Because they understand their money and they have a healthy relationship with it, and they're continually educating themselves on how to be better with that money. You want to have a healthy financial scorecard, you've got to continue to educate yourself on your money. It's going to be extremely important because you need to know the basic things. So then when the higher level things come into place, you can go, I can connect that dot, point A to point B to point C. So I know where I am on my financial scorecard. And I know that I'm becoming financially stable more and more. So that's going to be important, that continuous education. Okay. Number 3, setting boundaries. Now, this one is it can be very difficult for us, but what I would share with you is your financial journey. If you really want to get to financial stability, then financial independence, and then financial freedom, you need to go ahead and get in your head right now that this journey is not going to be easy. Why? Because 80% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck. That means there's only 20% that doesn't. 20% that can potentially, because we don't know what their status is necessarily for the entire 20%, right? I don't know if they have $5,000 or $500,000, but only 20% of Americans are past the living paycheck to paycheck point. I believe in order to get there, you've got to set some boundaries. You have to be willing to be different, which means you can't be normal. That is the straight truth. You can't be normal and reach financial independence and financial freedom. You can't be normal because it's not a normal thing in America. What's normal is debt to debt to debt to debt daily living. What's normal is paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck daily living. What's normal is robbing Peter to pay Paul. That is normal because we know 80% of Americans are there. The average household debt right now today in the United States is $90,000. The average household debt. That comes from credit cards, personal loans, cars, all of that is your debt. Now, mortgage is not in that number. Let's be clear. Because your mortgage is considered a good debt, but you all know me. I believe the best debt is no debt. We've got to get to that serious debt-free status. But you've got to set boundaries in order to do that. You can't continue to do the things that you've always done and hope to receive something different. You've got to realize that you've got to step out of your comfort zone of what you're accustomed to doing, right? And begin to do things differently. One of the things that my husband and I did as we were starting our marital journey to, learning how to become and be a couple, but also our financial journey in that, we would sit at home in the kitchen or at the island. And I can remember a moment and a night of eating fried bologna and ramen noodles for dinner. I can seriously remember that moment, right? But what was really, really significant about that moment is in between the two of us sitting next to each other at this island, we had our bank statement. So I'm going to hold up a napkin here as a bank statement, right? We had it right between the two of us. And that bank statement had a balance with a comma in it. 1 comma, not 2. We were starting out, right? And all we could say to ourselves and think about as we had conversation about eating ramen noodles and bologna for dinner is that if we wanted to go out and purchase a steak for ourselves, we could do that. But we were on a journey to becoming financially stable, because you got to become stable first. Then you worry about independence and freedom. We were on that journey to becoming financially stable. We had to set some boundaries. That was one way we did it. It wasn't about we have enough money in the bank to go out to eat, so let's just go. It was like, whoa, stop, wait a minute. Yeah, we could do that, but we're working towards financial stability. We need to set some boundaries. One of the main boundaries we have for our marriage when it comes down to our finances is we don't loan money. And I know some of you are going, what? What about your family? What if they need this or need that? So a couple of things there. Number one, lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. And I know that may sound harsh, but we have to be real. So we don't loan money. Now, if God lays it on our heart to bless a family member or a person that's outside of the family, if he lays it on our heart to do so, then that is what we do. And we do it without expecting to receive that money back. It's called giving out of your abundance. But one of our boundaries is we don't get into loaning money, because we know if we begin to loan money that we truly need, we're going to be mad if we loan out $250 and you only give me $150 back. I will have an attitude about that. So that we don't give what we cannot afford to truly give and not expect to receive in return. So you've got to learn how to set boundaries if you really want a healthy financial scorecard. Next is having a positive mindset. We have been taught that we need to survive in this world. I don't think there's many of us that don't know how to survive. We know how to go out there, get a job, and actually we'll even call our businesses a hustle. Girl, I got a side hustle. I got a side hustle. We got that mindset and terminology that says, I'm going to make a way. I'm going to get this done, right? But that mindset of everything being a hustle. No, if you really have a business and you're set up with the state appropriately, you're paying your taxes appropriately, you're doing the things you're supposed to, that's not a hustle. You're an entrepreneur. You're in business. We've got to get a positive mindset and a positive vocabulary when it comes down to our finances. Speak those things that are not as though they were. So we got to start speaking positive over our money. And we've got to start thinking positive about it. So we've got to get a mindset that supports us becoming financially. Yes, I can do this. I can let go of my past behavior. I don't have to be what my past is. I can get to financial stability. I can get my finances in order. I can become debt free. I can be abnormal in a good way because I want to be part of the 20% that is not living paycheck to paycheck. I want to be part of the 20% that is building financial stability, financial independence, and financial freedom. So we need a positive mindset that's going to support that. And yes, we can do that. Yes, we can. You can have that positive mindset. All of these things are what you need to think about when it comes down to your financial health and wellness scorecard. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process of becoming, and that is okay. One step at a time, beginning to be right where you are. Not where Mika is, not where Susie is, not where John is, but right where you are. You can definitely begin to be. Your financial scorecard is going to reflect your values, your mindset, your ownership, and your boundaries. Your financial scorecard will reflect these things. And trust me, even right now today, you have a financial scorecard. It's reflecting these things that you see on the screen, your values, your mindset, your ownership, and your boundaries. If your financial scorecard says that you are in the negative, your net worth is in the negative, you owe more than what you own, you're spending more than what you make, it's reflecting your mindset, it's reflecting your ownership, it's reflecting your values of what's important to you. It's reflecting that, and it's showing your boundaries that they're like either too far out, you don't have them tight enough. Your mindset is, let me get what I can now. We'll worry about it later. I was born in debt. I'm going to die in debt. No, that's reflecting your mindset. And it's reflecting what you value. You value right now more than you do preparing for your now and your later. Because we all want to be here a long time, what's considered long to us, right? We all want to live to the 80s and the 90s and hit 100 and still be able to be self-sufficient. But are we preparing for those things? If you're constantly keeping your financial scorecard in the negative, you're not. You're not preparing for those things. And we've got to be able to do that. We need to understand that money is a tool. It's not a God. It's not the all in all. It's not everything. It's a tool to be used to help us build solid foundations. It is a tool. We live in a world that does not operate without money. I don't care whether you're talking about the green cash, the plastic, or crypto. It doesn't matter. All of that is considered money. And you need to have a clear understanding and basic knowledge of how they work. Because how money works never changes. It doesn't. It's just a new added level of the type. Let me do it this way, type that's out there. Crypto is a big thing now. Now I'm old school. I'm not big into crypto. I've learned and I have a mindset about cash is king. I'm about making sure we have solid foundation. Cash is king. All cash can be converted. We know that. And I understand those things. If you come to me about crypto, I know about it, have a little bit of knowledge there, but that's not my strong suit on crypto because right now it's too volatile for me and where I am on my path to becoming. So crypto isn't a big part of my financial scorecard. That does not mean it cannot be a big part of yours if you're continuously educating yourself on crypto and you're setting your boundaries on crypto and you're understanding your mindset, keeping it positive about how crypto works. So there's no wrong there. It's that we've got to make sure we're applying and doing these things that are best for where we are on our journey to becoming financially. So again, money is a tool. You've got to learn how to use money to your benefit as a tool. Okay. And then we also have to know, as my dad used to say all the time, if you want a better tomorrow, start today. If you want your scorecard, your financial scorecard, to look healthier than it does today, tomorrow, start on it today. Start today. Well, how can you do that? I'm so glad you all are asking me that. You can go to our Amazing Rare Rubies website, www.amazingrarerubies.com, and learn about our ABCs of Finance class. It is a 4-part series class that is designed to help individuals understand the basic foundational things when it comes down to money. We talk about, first of all, the preliminary things of self-awareness. Remember, we talked about that accountability on and up to where we are, understanding where we are. Then we identify which level of financial status are we really? Are we at instability, stability, independence, or freedom? Where are we in that? We begin to learn about that, and we talk about different ways to attain debt-free status, because that becomes really important. We've got to get out of the mindset of thinking that we must be in debt to become. We also talk about credit score and budgeting down to zero. That's a big one too. Did you know that in order to have a credit score, you must have debt? Isn't that something? Everybody wants to have a great 800 credit score, right? But in order to have a credit score, you must have debt. You cannot have a credit score without debt. So that's something for people to think about. Yeah, you can't have a credit score without debt. See, that's one of the ways that we've gotten caught up in how the world operates. So if I can keep you focused on just having a good credit score, I can also keep you owing somebody, because you must have debt in order to have that credit score. Then we teach individuals about cash flow. And that's a big one, right? Who doesn't want more cash flow? Who doesn't like their money flowing like liquid? I know I do, right? So cash flow is another thing that we teach about in this ABCs of Finance class. Now, our next classes are coming up March 15th. This is a Tuesday night class, which is 7 p.m. for 4 Tuesdays in a row. Remember, I said it's a 4-part series. So it's for 4 Tuesdays in a row. So March 15th will be our next class for ABCs of Finance. And then the following class coming up is going to start March 26th. This is our Saturday class, and it's at 10 a.m. Each class is about 2 to 2.5 hours long. I put the class weekly. That's my preference there, because after we learn all of this information, you know, Amazing Rare Rubies, we are all about applying it, right? You've got, knowledge is great, but applied knowledge is power. Okay, so we like to take a week in between each lesson so that you have an opportunity to go out and apply what you've learned to your becoming based on your financial journey. So our next class is coming up March 15th and March 26th. You're able to sign up for these classes on our website, www.amazingrarerubies.com. Each class, again, will be in 4 parts. So it's 4 classes, 4 Tuesdays in a row or 4 Saturdays in a row, and there'll be 2 to 2.5 hours. The entire class is $100. It's a $100 investment. We are here to help you get that solid foundation to becoming financially. But there is an investment in our growth. It's like we invest in our clothes, we invest in our cars, we invest in our education. This is part of your education. It's a $100 investment to participate in this class. Seats are limited. We do have in-person and online availability, but again, seats are limited. Once we reach a number, that is it. These are small classes, and they're small because we want to make sure that individuals really have an opportunity to learn and grow and apply what they're learning. So we keep the class size pretty small and manageable. So as always, Amazing Rare Rubies, we thank you so very much for joining us. We thank you for giving us your time today. We pray that this message has been a blessing to you, and we encourage you to always keep God in every decision made, every lesson learned, and every message taught. Until next time, make it a Ruby day. Thanks.
You are going to want to quit because you are human. But you've got to know that you must keep going.